Hello, everybody. How are we? It's 7 p.m. in South Africa. It is 9 a.m. here in the US of A on the West Coast, and I'm finding myself here I am. I'm so excited about this segment because it is one that we had such an overwhelming amount of people coming on and commenting saying that they were desperate for this, Jeff Ed, that this is something that they have been waiting for and that they're desperate for this information. And I'm so excited. Tune in, say hi when you're here. We are going to be in just a few moments bringing on the amazing Coach Sandi and her daughter Kate, where we are going to be picking her brain. We have the best team of coaches at Jeff here, I'm telling you, all with different expertise, and we've added even more nutritional expertise to our team. Sans has never come on live, so you're going to have to give her some really, really good love. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Anzi. Hello, Jade, Coach Jade. Hello, Deline. What I want you to do is, in the beginning, I'm not going to look so much at my phone and at the comments. I'm just going to have a really good chat with Coach Sandi. And then while I'm having that chat, if you have any questions, start shooting them through. And then when we get to the question section, I'll scroll back to the top and start asking Coach Sandi questions. If we don't get to your question, or if you're catching this up later and not at live time, just tag Coach Sandi in your question on the group comments, and she'll be able to go back later and have a look and answer all those questions for you. We are going to be speaking all things lunch boxes here today with Coach Sandi. When we put a poll out on the Jeff Together page, the number one thing that everyone voted for was the lunchbox ideas for moms or dads that are making up lunchboxes that really run out of good ideas, or you end up putting chippies and sweets and juice and all the wrong stuff in there that doesn't really fuel your child in the correct way. I don't have any expertise on these lunch boxes. I had to make my own lunch from grade 1 because I had a 9-year-old brother and a 7-year-old sister, and my mom got so over it that by the time I was in grade 2, I was making myself peanut butter sandwiches every day, and I would just wrap it up in tin foil, and there I would go. I used to hate my lunch. And so we are going to bring in Coach Sandi. We're going to speak about her tips and tricks. I believe that some of the things that she's going to be sharing today on what her and her daughter make together have already been added to the web app, or are being added to the web app, so that you can take those ideas with the recipes and emulate those yourself. So it's very, very exciting. And Coach Adrian is like, is that my record behind you? He wants the goldfish record. Hello, Alison. All right. So without further ado, post any questions you have. I'll look through them later. I want to bring on the amazing Coach Sandi and her beautiful daughter, Kate. Bring them in.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Kate.
Hello, everyone. So good to be here.
Coach Sandi, this is your first time you've come live.
Absolutely. It's a little bit nerve-wracking.
It's just having a chat with me. That's what I said before. Yeah, it's just like we're having a nice little chat. And Kate is with you. Kate, I want to know, how old are you?
10.
And what grade are you in? Have you started school yet this year?
No.
What grade are you going into?
5.
Oh my goodness, it's the big grade 5. We're nearly at grade 7. That's crazy. You're nearly the queen of primary school. And Kate, tell me, is mom amazing at lunchbox ideas? But I heard it's not just mom. I heard you guys are like a dynamic duo, and that you love cooking. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You love cooking. And do you like cooking more or baking more?
Baking.
Oh, me too. Me too. And so, Coach Sands, before we start speaking about all those delicious treats that you have, I want to speak a little bit about the challenge that parents have and why this segment is so popular. I mean, so many people are already hopping on. Why it's so popular is because, like anything in life that you have to do every single day, coming up with new ideas or coming up with healthy ideas for lunchboxes is so difficult. And a lot of the time you are talking to time-strapped moms and dads who are normally making it up in the morning at like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And so speak about the struggles that people would have with lunchboxes, and even struggles potentially you've had with lunchboxes.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've been there, done that as well. And I think it's sort of the bane of most parents' existence. You're super excited for the kids to go back to school, but then you take a step back and you think, oh, lunchboxes. And suddenly things get a bit dark and grey. But me too. I mean, I laughed at your peanut butter story. For 12 years, there were four of us, four siblings, well, three siblings and me, and we had peanut butter sandwiches every day. And I think on our birthdays, we got cheese. So that was different. But yeah, and so I think a lot of people think, so the kids nowadays should also have that. We had that and we were okay. But I think things have advanced as well, and we've learned a lot over the years. And yeah, and as parents, obviously we want what's best for our kiddies. We want to make sure that they're getting all the good stuff in. And it's quite complicated. It's not like us. We've sort of grown already, and we're not growing still. There's a lot more. There's a whole lot of different dimensions, basically, to this. Kids are needing a lot of brain power at school as well. I mean, yeah, I don't think we use our brains anything close to how they're using their brains every day. And then there's all the extramurals. I mean, we do half-hour lit or HIT class, and we've totally pooped. And they do before school, during school, phys ed, and then after school as well. So the energy requirements are huge. And so yeah, I think it's really important that we meet those. I mean, I've also, when I've been super, super busy, resort to sort of the Pravita biscuits and peanut butter, and then I start feeling a little bit guilty. The kids sort of they bring their lunch boxes back still full and very moody when you pick them up from school. And then sort of, yeah, I came to the realization that we need to actually to sort of up our game a little bit and make it exciting. And it's difficult, and especially when they're younger, sort of when the sort of like the creche, but obviously creche is a little bit different, but then they go to play school in the grade 1, grade 2, and as all parents will know, the personality develops constantly. Independence develops as well, and it's a good thing. We want them to become independent, but it can also interfere with our routines a little bit as well. They sort of say eat, and they don't necessarily listen anymore. So I had to get quite creative, and thank goodness I've got a daughter here who loves baking. Left to her own devices, she would just make cupcakes and chocolate cake all day, every day. So we had to sort of work around that. But what I found as well is that if you give a bit of the power, but you give a bit of the responsibility to the kids, they take ownership. So I think we always, and that's something I used to do as well, so you'd pack the lunchbox. So you'd take the lunchbox and you'd put everything in according to what you believe they should have, send it off to school and hope for the best, and invariably half of it comes back. But what I found now, and it's purely because I got so busy and I actually didn't have time to sort of faff in the morning and run around and, oh, what do you want, dear, and what do you want? And they want totally different things. That's the other thing. If you've got sort of more than one child, you realize the personalities are very different. Are different. It would be so easy if you could just sort of make exactly the same lunchbox and just sort of replicate it, but that's not the case. So what I've found definitely is if you hand over a bit of the responsibility to them, and that was just purely by accident because mummy couldn't handle, daddy couldn't handle, we had other things happening. And suddenly they sort of take ownership and they're proud of their food. So they have selected to put this in, and they've made it all pretty, and also like getting nice lunch boxes with compartments and getting little sort of things that go in. And
add into it.
They love it. They absolutely, I hope I'm speaking the truth, Katie. But I think it's all part of the preparation sort of part of it, the challenge for them, or the creative side that comes out, and they love that. So, I mean, Katie will show you what she's made. I've used her as a bit of a slave over the last few days so we could bake in bulk and cook in bulk so we could show you some ideas. But it's lovely because, like Sarah, my younger daughter, she won't like everything that's on here. Kate, you probably like most things on here. She never used to like the date balls very much, but now she's made them and suddenly they taste much better than when mummy makes them.
Exactly.
But I think it's because it's her creation. And it's incredible how they take sort of ownership of it.
So what I'm hearing is, once again, just like our one-on-one program and just like what we're asking from Jeff Life, and actually what we're asking in everyday life, is that planning and preparation is key. And that the planning and preparation may take time when you have to actually do it, but what it's going to save you in time and save you in headaches and hassles later on in life and later on in your week is going to be a game changer. So speak about before we show what you guys have made, speak a little bit about the actual preparation and planning. So do you save a certain day where you and Katie or you and your children will cook and bake and make sure you have everything ready for the week ahead? Do you have a discussion about that with them? Like, what do we feel like making this week? What's the preparation stage? How long does that take, like in realistic time? So that for the people that are tuning in here, you know, they understand that this just isn't something that is like, okay, cool, we can just open the cupboard and there is all the things we can pick from. And that's where the problem comes in, where you're adding the chips and the chocolates and all the pre-made stuff. So speak a little bit about the actual planning process.
Okay, so because you want to get in the good stuff, and obviously you want it to appeal to your children, but you want it to be nutritious. So I think a lot of parents also fall into the trap of going and looking down the aisle, the shopping aisle, and just sort of grabbing anything that looks colorful that might appeal and putting all of that in. And obviously from a nutritional point of view, from too much sugar point of view as well, not getting the balance of fiber, protein, and healthy fats, that becomes a problem.
So wait, I'm gonna stop you there, because no one will know. What is the balance? What should a healthy lunchbox look like with regards to the balance?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. So what's really, really important, we often sort of, because there's so much information out there, people just don't realize. But what is really important is that you combine, and it's the same as we tell our clients on the one-on-one program. We need some carbohydrates that are fiber rich. The reason for that is there's numerous reasons, but one of the main reasons is so that you're kept full for longer. It's not a case of having sort of a very high sugar, low fiber starch that gives you energy quick, and then unfortunately teacher carries on talking and you take your dip. That's not going to work. There's place for those sort of quick fix carbs when you're doing some hectic exercise and during your exercise. But just a typical day when you're looking at a lunchbox for during school, there's no place for those. And the teachers would confirm that. It's sort of your kids are doing this during the day. So that's important, so that whenever you do add a starch, it must be the high fiber, which means sort of whole foods as opposed to the very processed foods. And I think a lot of parents as well, and possibly unknowingly, they would add sort of some salty cracks to the mix, or some crackers that have zero fiber in them. And a way to establish that is by looking at the ingredient list. And if you see sugar in the top 3 ingredients list there, put it back down. Don't even go near that, because
that's
that tells
very clever. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best way to find out if something's heavily processed and if it's basically just based on sugar. First 3 ingredients, if there's sugar in there, put it straight back. So fiber, you want fiber-rich carbs and starch, and they do need starch during the day, purely to think and they need the energy, but also during the afternoon, so if they're doing extramurals, it becomes very, very important, and you want that slow-release carbohydrate. Then also, ideally, you want to combine in a meal or in a snack, you want to then also have the protein. The protein is important, we know that again, it helps you keep full for longer, and then the healthy fats as well. And it's actually I normally sort of explain this way to my clients when I say to them, this is why we want to combine all 3 ingredients in the meals and the snacks. Because if you think of the protein and the healthy fats and the fiber as forming almost like this barrier around the sugar molecules. So you eat your carbs, they get broken down into sugar in the gut, and you've now, if you don't have a barrier, they just run free into the bloodstream, causing a major spike and a whole lot of pressure on the insulin being produced. And obviously we know the spike is followed by a bit of a dip, which we want to avoid. So by putting this barrier of fiber and protein and healthy fat, now suddenly these sugar molecules need to fight to get into the bloodstream. Sort of if you picture that, or we use that analogy. So now they're pushing against this barrier and they're popping through gradually and getting into the bloodstream. But then it's a gradual incline. It's not all or nothing, it's gradual. So that's the reasoning sort of behind why we want to combine different foods, protein, fat, and fiber in a meal or snack.
Now that I've seen so many comments coming through here now saying like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, like super interesting. I didn't know this. Like this is information that parents don't know. They think that it's like, this is a good snack, it looks good. They don't even turn over to look at what the ingredients are behind. For me now, knowing that, sugar in the first 3 lines, put it away and say thank you very much. Okay, so now that we know what should be included, let's now go back to the question of the planning and the prep and what that looks like.
Okay, so that unfortunately that does involve a little bit of work, but what's so nice, and if you've got a kid who's old enough and who's who's sort of keen to be involved, then jump on that straight away. It doesn't matter if they only like baking sweet things. Look at Katie, we've changed it. Actually, it's all about bribery. So I say to her, she can bake sweet things if she bakes the good stuff during the week. It's like our 5.5 day principle on the coaching program.
Exactly.
So 80% of the time, stick to the good stuff. 20% of the time, you can have some treats. And I think that should apply to kids all the time. They should also follow that similar type of principle. So what we do, back to the planning, what we typically do is Sunday, we make quite a lot of things. And the nice thing about what we make, and we'll show you some of the samples, is that you can freeze them. You can keep them in the fridge. So you can actually have a situation where, and this is what we try and do, where the kids can wake up in the morning and they can decide, what do I feel like today?
That's amazing.
Because now you've got all of these things, and you can easily take out and defrost one of your frittatas, or one of your, we'll show you the bean and bran banana muffins. But you can defrost that in the microwave, add it to the lunchbox. It'll be ready and perfect to eat when they're at school.
And also, something that we spoke about with Coach Tash the other day when we were talking about dinner is she said there's power in a child deciding what's going into their food, or like they do stir fries where the kids decide what veggies they want to add. They've made the decision, so they want to eat it. Same thing with the lunchbox. Like if Kate is deciding what's going in her lunchbox, when she opens it up, it's not a surprise. And she's like, oh my goodness, like I actually chose this today, so I want to eat it. Let's talk quantities before we talk about what goes in. So let's talk quantities for a normal day at school, and then let's talk quantities when you're adding extramural activities. How much food should be in the lunchbox?
Okay, so we'll give you, we want to make this quite practical, so we'll actually show you, and Kate can show you what her typical day looks like.
I'm excited to hear from Kate. I want Kate to actually demonstrate I want you to show us how the little
packing her lunchbox, definitely. Yes. But I think the big point I want to make before we get to the fun part, Katie, is that it's important that you adjust the intake. So often we give our kids exactly the same amount of food, regardless of what they're doing in the day. And that doesn't work, because then some kids they're getting overfed, other kids are getting underfed. And you need to find the happy medium. And that's an important message to give kids and to give adults. Often as adults, we don't realize that. You're doing hectic training. Example, I'm probably going to get into trouble later, but example is my hubby. So when he's training for the Ironman, he'll eat a lot more food than he would typically eat before that. But then you finish training, you've done it, and you're on a bit of a break, and you continue eating the same amount. And we can all figure out what will happen then. So it's a similar type thing with kids as well. And I think it's a message that you need to actually instill from a young age. And the message is, if you're doing extra activities, sports, you need more food. So the more energy you spend, the more food you need. And often we don't do that. We just give the same amount, the same lunchbox. It doesn't matter whether you're having 2 hours of hockey practice, or you're swimming for an hour and a half, or playing water polo, you still get the same food. So I think that is an important point to take note of.
And are you giving them more of everything, or are you giving them more, if sport is included, are you giving them more of the carbohydrate, or what are you giving them more of?
Yes, so that's a good question as well. Yes, so you typically want to, now because I try and make all the snacks balanced, like we spoke about, with the carbs and the proteins.
Yes.
Often they'll go hand in hand, but what we could do there is top up with some extra fruit, for example.
Gotcha.
And that will give you more in the way of the carbs. I just wanted to quickly mention the whole fruit juice debacle as well.
It was one of my questions was what goes in the drink. That's what I want to know.
So I think my girls felt horribly deprived. Well, they probably still do most of their lives, because for me, fruit juice equals party. So fruit juice equals treat. We have never ever sent fruit juice to school, purely because it's a waste of calories. I'd much rather they get the good stuff in the form of food. Often kids who have fruit juice, they'll drink that first, get full, think they're full, and then they won't eat the good stuff. And then later they'll realize how hungry they are, and they miss the opportunity to eat. So fruit juice is a no-no. Definitely, it's a treat. We always had fruit juice at parties when we could still have parties way back when. But so it's water. But the reason I brought that up as well is that if you're doing some hectic training, especially for the older kids, there is a place then for potential fruit juice for more an energy drink. But that is if you're doing hour and a half to 2 hours of intense training. It's not if you're just doing an hour hockey practice, moderate intensity, there is no need then for a sweetened beverage. Water is fine.
And Sans, my mom used to send me, obviously I was quite a hectic athlete, even from a young age. I never got fruit juice, but I used to get chocolate milk in my, and the chocolate milk was for the activity. I wasn't ever allowed to have it. The teacher knew I wasn't allowed to have it during the school day. Sometimes the teacher would take it and then I would get it. What's the go on chocolate milk? Because I know that there's so much sugar in a lot of chocolate milks as well.
There is, but actually, if you look at all sort of the sports science research around that, chocolate milk is one of the best recovery snacks.
Yes.
If you look at the proportion of carbs and proteins, it's like spot on. So yes, it's not whole foods, but at that point, if you're doing intense exercise like you were doing and like people sort of doing proper training, that is a perfect recovery snack. So your mom was doing you. She was ahead of the time. So she was doing you a big favor there. That is great. But again, either that's going to be a treat,
exactly, or only for your exercise if that's what it is.
You are very active. Yeah.
And then I want to come to Katie now. I want to speak about this platter, this delicious platter. Can you show us this platter, please, Mom and Katie?
Why don't you pack something as if it's your first day on Monday at school? You don't have any extramurals yet, so what would you pack?
But we want to see. First, show us this platter. We can't see it. You have to put it in. Here. Tell us each individual item. So what have we got here, Katie? What's the yellow thing?
These are frittatas.
And what are in those? Do you know?
There's egg, salt,
What's the part you hate making?
Carrots,
because she hates grating.
Baby marrow, and sweet basil.
Sweet basil and a bit of feta cheese as well.
And are they delicious? They look delicious. Mom, can you bring one close to the camera?
Yeah, we're going to do that. I think Katie's proud of her.
Look at these. Look at those. They look delicious. Okay, so we've got a frittata. Then what's next to that, Katie?
A bean and banana muffin.
Show us. I have to see it.
A little bit better. There we go.
And so tell us, there's beans in there. What kind of beans?
There we go. We've got all the samples. You're going to show.
Ooh, red kidney beans. Oh, I miss Woolworths so much. Red kidney beans, and what else? Bananas are in there. Now, do you even taste the beans or not really? No. Does it just taste like a delicious banana muffin, essentially?
So it's quite a funny story though, because Mommy didn't tell them until about 6 months ago that beans go into it. And the one time my little one, Sarah, walked in, it's like, what's that? And I'm like, chocolate beans, dear. So but now that Katie's been making it herself, it was difficult to keep it away from them. But yeah, for parents who, if your kids don't like the idea of beans, just make sure you puree them really well, because I also made that mistake before where there was like a whole bean left in the mixture, and then that can be a bit of a deterrent. But if they're well mixed and pureed, nobody knows they're in there.
Kate, Nicole just told me on comments, she said, Kate, I hate grating too. You've got a person that hates grating with you. Kate, what is next to those delicious muffins?
There we go.
There's crunchies.
They are crunchies, and I believe those are chickpea crunchies.
Mm-hmm.
Those look so good. What's in those, Mom?
So there we've got some chickpea flour, and for the local people, if you struggle to find that, we actually find some at Woolies, but often different suppliers run out. You can either get Diskim, I'm doing a bit of advertising here, but Clicks, you actually can find it anywhere, Pick and Pay, you just need to look. It looks sort of like this. And the reason we like sort of chickpea flour as well, I could get carried away completely, but it's the type of fat in there as well. Obviously, then also these ones would be gluten-free as well. So for any kiddies who have any issues with gluten, this would be a good option. And then we use a little bit of maple syrup or honey. So yeah, maple syrup. It's all the good stuff. A lot of people are already asking for all the recipes. Tell us which ones were added today. I think some were already added today on the web app. They should pretty much all be there. No pressure, Adrian, if they're not. But they will be there.
But I know he was adding these today, so go and have a look afterwards. We'll put some pressure on Coach Adrian. And then Katie, tell me, those look like the most delicious date balls I've ever seen. I need to see them. What is in those? Tell me, Katie.
There we go.
Oh, we have delicious dates.
So these are medjool dates. So they're nice fresh dates, brilliant for fiber, brilliant for antioxidants, but obviously very concentrated in sugar. So they add a nice sweetness, but a fantastic, really healthy addition if you want some sweetness. Can you have one? Katie's getting hungry. She just wants.
Go, Katie, go. Go, Katie, go. This is a good time to ask Mum while she's live. It's hard to
absolutely. It was just a few minutes, my love.
But also,
we don't really need our children.
But also, Mom, I mean, it must be, I mean, I'm about to embark on this whole mom journey, but it must be with my one-on-one clients that now have kids that have just joined. They said it's transformed the snacking of their children because they're eating the protein bars, or they're eating the maple bars, or they're eating the chickpea fudge, and that she's saying that they have to hide it in the freezer for their kids, from their kids, because they want to eat all the snacks. And as a parent, it must be so much easier when your child is saying, Mom, I'm hungry, I want a snack, and you're like, cool, go have a date ball, or go have a bean and banana bread muffin. It must take a lot of pressure off you on having to say no to all the junk all the time.
Absolutely. But I think what's important there as well, and I just want to mention that quickly as well, is that you can have all this good food and all the good snacks, but if you're going to have next to that your cheddars and your salty cracks and your little packs of sweeties and all of those and your juice, and then you put that in front of your child and ask them to choose, a child will always go for the cheddars, and my children will. So you just need to make sure as well that you don't stock all of those foods, because that's not fair on anybody, to be honest. So those should be treats. You get in just enough once a week to have your treat, or for a party or whatever it is. But yeah, you can't mix the different foods and then expect your child to make the right choice.
And then Katie, can you pack your lunchbox for us? We only have a few more minutes, and I want to see what this lunchbox packing looks like. So explain what you're going to put in your lunchbox for us.
I'm going to put roasted chickpeas.
We didn't mention that.
Chickpeas. What a delicious. So we have some roasted chickpeas going in there. Do you like those?
You could have left Mom some. She just finished all of them. She doesn't normally have.
So roasted chickpeas are going in there. What's next?
You must remember she hasn't had supper yet, so the portions might be a little bit exaggerated.
That's okay. What's going in there next? We have a frittata going in there. I love this lunchbox. Oh, it's even got a lid. What went in there? A crunchy. Oh, a little crunchy went in there.
And a muffin, yeah.
And a muffin.
So I mean, typically Katie would take sort of 3 or 4 items for a full day. That's why she hasn't taken the date balls, or maybe because she took a date ball. But I think, typically what we would say is, depending on the child and how old they are, is that you would take I would say to my younger child, okay, choose 3 things for the day. And I think it's important for parents to guide there as well.
Gotcha.
Because, it's difficult for the kiddies to know that they'll take, if they like everything, they'll take everything. But I also wanted to make that point, is that it can't just, even with the healthy foods, it can't be sort of free reign. I think even up until sort of age 12, kids should ask parents first. So it shouldn't just be free access to everything.
Gotcha.
It must be a case of, can I have another frittata? It seems silly, I know, or can I have another date ball? And you still need to sort of manage and control how much they are eating.
And then what's going in that lunchbox with regards to fruit? What's going in there?
Katie just said that. She said, what about my fruit?
What about your fruit? How many fruits go in your lunchbox normally, Katie?
I'll have grapes and strawberries.
Grapes and strawberries. Do those go? Is it normally grapes and strawberries? Are those your 2 favorites? Yes. So that goes in your lunchbox with the other 3 or 4 things that you've been able to choose. And then you have your water bottle. I'm guessing that's going with you as well on your way. I love this. I love this. It looks like such a delicious lunchbox. And there's the water bottle.
Water bottle.
Look at her. She's completely ready to go. I love that they pack their own. I think that's genius. I love that they're involved with the preparation and they're involved with the making. I think that's even more genius. And I want to speak a little bit now. We've got a few questions coming through. If you had a 16-year-old boy, say for instance, like what goes in a 16-year-old boy's lunchbox? Like how many things are going in that lunchbox? Is there a place for sandwiches? And if so, what do sandwiches look like?
Absolutely. And to be honest, there is a place for sandwiches. We just wanted to show you sort of some of the combinations that you can make on a Sunday, and then they will last the whole week. And I think that works for a lot of parents. The sandwiches invariably you've got to make that morning. So that's why we've sort of used all of this, is that it literally can be kept in the fridge. It will last a week, and it will sort of, you wake up and the kids help themselves and you go. But yes, something like sort of whole wheat, multi-seed wraps with chicken and some salad and things like that, fantastic. And yes, a 16-year-old boy's requirements, probably going to be similar to Kate, actually. She's got quite the appetite, but no, much, much higher than obviously a girl who's 8 years old. And invariably their requirements are pretty similar up until age about 9, and then when they start going through puberty, it becomes dramatically different. And the boys definitely need a whole lot more. So for instance here, where he would probably take, a 16-year-old, very active boy, would take another 3 portions of something over and above what Kate took. I think Kate took a little bit too much. She just is a bit hungry right now. She wouldn't walk that much. But yeah, so it very much depends. But you will find, and that's another, I'm glad you raised that point, is that often boys and girls, sort of teenage boys and girls, parents will also pack the same food sometimes, sort of, here, this will be for you and this will be for you. And you've got to realize that that's not the case, even if the girl's super active as the boy, because boys naturally have more muscle mass. They're going to need more, they spend more energy, they're going to need more food.
Exactly right. And so, so there's someone saying, can I place an order, please, Sandi, and collect on Sunday?
Lisa.
So let's talk quickly about some sandwich fillers or wrap fillers. So you would go multi-grain or seed loaf, or you would have a whole wheat wrap. You would put your chicken and so to touch on all of the food groups then across that, you would obviously want to have a healthy fat, which is something like your avo or your cheese. Along with your chicken. Like what else could you add in as fillers? Because parents try to go for spreads, right? But what are we looking as fillers for sandwiches?
Okay, so chicken, tuna, not all kids like tuna because of it could potentially smell a little bit at school. And I think, you've got to be sensitive around that. Boiled eggs, sort of pre-made boiled eggs is a nice one as well, with a little bit of light mayonnaise. And then add some salad ingredients. I mean, that's something else we never mentioned, is that Kate loves peppers, sort of raw peppers. So if there's no fruit in the house because mom hasn't planned enough and doesn't have stock, then she would opt for something like peppers as well, sort of raw peppers chopped up. But little baby tomatoes would be another option, sliced up cucumbers. But all of that can also be put into a wrap. So vegetables, fruits. Vegetables obviously not going to give you much in the way of energy. But I think in terms of good nutrition, vitamins, minerals, that there's a space for them as well. But other options, I mean, the boiled eggs, the chicken, tuna, if it's tolerated, but often leftovers as well. Another thing that's really nice, I mean, we're mad about spaghetti bolognese in our house. So the bolognese sauce, but we add loads of veggies to that. And leftover bolognese sauce in a wrap is absolutely delicious.
That's delicious. That is.
Be careful how you wrap it, otherwise it might end up all over.
Yeah, going everywhere. But it sounds delicious. Yeah. I have the amazing Caitlin Westbrook saying that she has a 10-year-old son, but he's a swimmer. So he swims 6 hours a week. He does cricket for an hour, water polo 3 hours, like a typical, like crazy 10-year-old boy. Like with regards to like the amount of those protein / date balls, how many would you suggest then with regards to that for the day?
Okay, so that also, I mean, will very much depend on his height and measurements and all of that. So we'd need to sort of individual. But yes, I mean, he could get away with sort of 4 of those date balls, but he must space it. So it's not a case of first break.
All of them.
That's an important message, and often kiddies do that, especially if it's nice food like this. They're sort of down it all at once. But the important message there is that give him enough food. So, I mean, he would, as an active kid, definitely sort of 2 frittatas, 2 muffins, probably even 4 date balls, some fruit, a lot of fruit as well. And in that case, if he's doing sort of training that's going to last longer than sort of continuous 2 hours, then you would give him something like an energy drink. I hate to say it because I don't want anyone
Gotcha.
else to. Unless it's intense training, please don't give energy drinks or juice. But for somebody who's swimming for like 2 hours non-stop, energy drink, yes, there will be a place there.
And so Sandi, last couple of things from my side before I have to hop off. I'm going live on my 21-day challenge group now. But this has been so awesome, and I want to, because a lot of people that said they couldn't catch this live and they were going to catch this on catch up. And if there's any questions coming through, please contact and tag Coach Sandi so that she can go and have a look and help answer your questions. A lot of people are saying they're so excited for these recipes. So Kate, you are the queen. You and Mom are the queen. They're so excited. What I want to ask is that if you do make these recipes, please share how it looks with you making it with your children, or share like what your lunch boxes are looking like, and post that on our Jeff Together page to inspire the other parents out there that may have missed this as well. This has been so informative for me, Coach Sandi. I think you are amazing. We have to bring you on more for some live. And Kate, you're the best sous chef in the world. We have to bring you on more. And when you guys make new recipes and you come up with new things that are going in your lunch boxes, please can you share with us so that we can share it with the community. There's so many things coming through. You're saying how informative that was. What an amazing session. Saying, Kate, you're a rock star. Lots of Kates, you're a rock star. But I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and sharing with us. This is something that a lot of parents struggle with on a daily basis. And I think the small little principles and the information on nutrition is so helpful. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us. And we'll definitely post some new meals and new recipes when we try them out. But one thing, Kate is really upset about being called the sous chef. She calls me the sous chef.
Kate, let's take that back. You are head chef, and Mom is the sous chef.
There we go.
And so for those of you that want to know, I already see someone said yes, the brownie muffins are already on the web app. We'll place pressure on Coach Adrian and Coach Sandi to have the other ones up there as well, so that you can all start making them. Can't wait to see all the pictures. Thank you for joining us, Kate and Mom. And I'm going to say goodbye and good night, and we will see you again next week for another segment. Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.